Hello, beautiful people of planet Earth. Hope your day is going well. We are back with another video, and today's video is everybody's favorite topic, damage, and specifically damage in New World versus damage in World of Warcraft. So let's go straight on in. Most people would think that WoW is much more advanced when it comes to DPS, and maybe that was the case back in the Mist of Pandaria days, but I'm not so sure anymore. I mean, if we look into New World and the abilities and factor in your dodges, your 1, 2, and 3 abilities, which I think for you are probably Q, F, and R, but I re-keybound my shit. But you have the dodge, all 3 of your abilities, 4 consumables, and then another set of your 3 abilities, as well as block. And that, how many buttons is that? It's roughly 10, 12. Now you can't tell me that a demon hunter in retail World of Warcraft after the pruning has 12 abilities. The thing that differentiates WoW's abilities versus New World's abilities is the mastery. So let's say for a Windwalker monk, for people that play something like that, you don't use the same ability twice because there's filler abilities, right? You don't use the same ability twice, so you get a damage bonus. So there's a little bit of thought process into it. Frost Death Knight is literally 3-4 buttons. There's some intricacies with it. You have to keep Breath of Cinder Ghost up. For by and large, it's not that much of a difference. The difference shows in proc classes and proc base classes. So like you'll be doing your rotation and all of a sudden, boom, you got something pop up. Boom, you have another thing pop up, and it feels really fast paced. Whereas New World, you 1, 2, 3, and you just smack shit with your axe, your staves, your auto with your bow, or whatever the case may be. There's not that much depth into the combat, and hopefully we can get better there. At least there's definitely ways to go. That would bring us to the conclusion that World of Warcraft feels a little bit more dynamic and responsive versus the former. And I think that's true, and that remains true, and it will be true for a while. Does classic WoW feel more dynamic and responsive? A little bit, but not by much. Not by much at all. Because it's hard to gauge your damage on New World other than the health bar moving down. But when you're in a party with people, I mean, it's kind of tough, right? Like, you don't have a damage meter. You don't know how well you're doing. There are no parses. So in World of Warcraft, it's much more of a competition. And not really against anyone else, but competing against yourself. And like, it's like you're in the gym and you just busted out a 300-pound bench press, and that's a little much, but 300-pound bench press, and you just beat a PR or a milestone. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with damage in WoW. But let's take it back to classic WoW. I play a Feral Druid and a Healer Resto Druid. I have 3 specs. I play in Burning Crusade Classic, and let me tell you, Feral Druid, I literally get behind the target, mangle, shred, rip, maybe a ferocious bite every now and again. That's 4 buttons, and then dodging stuff along the way. So with that being said, I don't see how they could change New World's combat system to a degree to where it would be more dynamic. I feel like this is the system that is in place, and we're gonna have to live and die by it, because the real strength behind that is being able to swap, I would say in air quotes, classes with just a matter of a couple Azoth and a couple gold, and going from using, like I'm using, an axe and a hammer if you're playing DPS, to using a bow and a spear, and you can do that on the fly. But there's beauty in that, right? There's definitely beauty in that, because you don't have to spend another 60 hours, 120 hours of your life just to play another DPS class. You can just freely do it as you want to do it. And the other aspect of New World, it's kind of like League of Legends versus Smite. In League, you auto attack. You just press somebody, like press their character. But in Smite, you have to aim everything, and that's how even melee. People can dodge around melees and stuff. You can't just click on them just based on distance. So you do add the element of the third person having to aim all of your abilities, which makes PvP a much more even playing field, in my opinion. And speaking of PvP in my opinion is a lot more balanced in this game. Like, I remember first trying PvP in World of Warcraft, and I got my ass whipped. I was so bad. Like, it was hard to learn how to ground something at one time, kick something else, shoot something across the map. Like all the abilities and the UI, and it was just, it's too much. And this, you just have to dodge left and right, you know, bait some abilities out, combo up with some of yours, counterattack, etc., etc. Not saying that PvP is perfectly balanced, but I think it's easier and easier for casuals to get into. The way the last videos were formatted, the last two questions is what is more hard and what is more fun. And to me, I think that I can answer both of these questions with one answer, which is I think World of Warcraft DPS is a little bit more harder. You know, if you're playing a warlock that's basically a turret and there's a lot of boss abilities flying at you, you have to move and find room to, you know, get your stuff off and then move again and move again. And I think that WoW's combat system and DPS system is more fun because it is more difficult. And then you add in the parses, the DPS meter, and it just makes for like a, I feel like actually WoW is made for DPS, like DPS players, and that's why it's so hard to find tanks and healers, right? Like everybody loves to play DPS, and WoW, and that's cool. But I think that definitely both of those are answered by just simply WoW is harder and more fun, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that New World is the worst game or WoW is the better game. That just means damage. One role inside the game is more fun, in my opinion, and that's just one person's opinion. But that's all I have. Quick little 6-minute video. DPS is simple, man. You pew pew, you kill stuff, you get out of the fire, right? If you like the video, non-gently tap the like button. Tell me if you see any differences or what you dislike or like in the comments, and subscribe, man. I will be back. Peace, y'all.